Welcome to Centrist Radicals with Captain Kevin and Rocket Rob, where common sense and common ground are radical ideas.
Hello everyone, Captain Kev here at Centrist Radicals. I wanted to introduce you to somebody special today. Now, I've got on the line here Joel, along with Rocket Rob, of course, and we're going to get into something a little bit personal. He's had a long journey through his life, a difficult one, where he has gone through the fire and come out the other side a little more purified than before. And, well, let's just get right into it. I'll let him tell his story. Hey folks, I've got Joel here with me today, and of course, as always, Rocket Rob, you know, our firebrand here, ready to go. Rob, you introduced me to Joel just a few days ago, and he's got an amazing story. Maybe you can tee it up for us and have Joel fill us in.
Right on. Joel, I was going through Facebook where all the great people are found, right? And came across your video. And man, whatever you were saying resonated with me. I said, this guy, he's like my alter ego. This guy and I, we went to the same finishing school or something to be where we're at today as Patriots. So you want to tell us a little bit more, Joel, about how you got into your 913 Inc. deal?
Yeah, 1913 Incorporated. Long story short, it's to battle the central bankers, the pharmaceutical system. Not too long ago, my baby was diagnosed with leukemia about 2 years ago now. I woke up back in 2016 and man, I didn't want them to give my baby chemo, but because I didn't have a choice. I had no choice. They said I'd get a felony medical negligence charge and CPS would take my other kids if I didn't give them chemo. So I began learning about the pharmaceutical system from my life being addicted to drugs. I started getting in trouble whenever I was about 12 years old. Went to very bad alternative schools and ended up going to juvenile. Spent from the age of 15 to 18 locked up in juvenile. When I got out, I was on the streets and I was selling drugs. And whenever I was about 2007, I think I was about 21, I decided I didn't want to sell drugs anymore and I was going to make money the right way. So I had really hard times. I'm talking about eating ramen noodles for weeks. I know what it's like to have my stomach touch my back. And I got into door-to-door sales, and that provided an avenue for me to be able to take care of myself. And mostly through my 20s and up till my early 30s, I was a wild knucklehead, and I got addicted to Xanax bars. So being addicted to Xanax, being alcoholic, all that stuff, it was a crazy thing. If anybody's ever been on Xanax, and you know what those withdrawals are like, they're very, very, very tough. So I had to go through multiple withdrawals, had seizures coming off those. And whenever I met my wife and I started calming down and really developing my relationship, going closer to God, I wanted to help other people get sober. I got sober and for a while. And I wanted to help other people get sober. So I started studying the pharmaceutical industry because being in door-to-door sales, there's so many people that was on pain pills, opiates, other things, but mostly pain pills, and they rescheduled those things. And the next thing you know, the streets were flooded with heroin and fentanyl and all that stuff. So I had some friends OD and die. So I wanted to understand how to help people go through the withdrawals. I wanted to understand the entire history behind the opiates. So I started studying the opiates, and then I started studying the Adderall, the ADHD meds. And I've been diagnosed with some so-called mental health issues, and I want to understand what was wrong with my psychology. So I really started diving into true psychology, not just them giving me a pill or telling me, blah, blah, blah is wrong with you, take these pills. So I started studying neuro-linguistic programming, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and the real history behind where these pharmaceuticals came from and how gut health really works, how health, mental health, the gut-brain connection, all that kind of stuff. I was just became infatuated with knowing more. And so up to that point, COVID happened, and I got to the point where I was like, I don't even want to argue with anybody anymore. Like, it ain't even worth it. But in 2026, so 2024, whenever my 11-month-old baby, she had Down syndrome, she got diagnosed with leukemia, and the doctor said, you have to give her chemo. I was floored. They gave me less than 24 hours.
So
I didn't have
they
the
forced you
decision.
to take chemotherapy because
Yeah,
basically
they
what you're
said,
saying is that if you didn't say yes to the chemicals in her body that you didn't want there, if you didn't say yes to that, they're going to take her and do it anyways, plus take your other kids on top of it. So it was a straight threat.
yes.
And
Yes.
so you felt you had to comply with the threat. And ultimately, what happened with your daughter?
So my baby, after the second round of chemo, she had zero leukemia left in her system, and they still gave her two strong rounds. We thought everything was going good, and then on the last round, the fourth round, she had 2 weeks left to go, and she got sick with the RSV virus, and they had to put her on ECMO for the lungs. But the chemo, it affects all the organs. It destroys all the organs.
Yeah.
So as she was on ECMO, which filters out the blood, the carbon dioxide and replaces back oxygen in the lungs, she was on it for 6 months, longer than anybody through history. So we literally had to spend a year in the hospital, and for 6 months, I'm watching my baby hooked up to these tubes and machines and pumped full of every antibiotic, statin. I mean, every kind of drug you can possibly think of. And it killed me every day on the inside, man. It was like going to war. Like I felt like I was bursting on fire every time that I had to leave out of that place. And every day when I walked in, guess what it said? Established in 1913. And so I kept my faith. I had a lot of faith during it, and I didn't want to talk bad about anybody. I kept my faith the whole time. I was telling everybody how God's going to heal my baby. And so what happened is she started bleeding internally after 6 months on ECMO, and because the chemo destroyed her organs and they had to take part of her stomach out. And because of that surgery, she got septic a couple weeks later, and she went to be with Jesus. So ever since she died, my goal is to spread the truth about everything that I know and not have any fear because I understand the matrix and the evil lies. I understand how they use the screens to affect this psychology. I understand fear based programming. I understand social conditioning. I understand how the subconscious mind works with everything it sees. So, on top of that, with the history I know, 1913 is the year they passed the Federal Reserve Act and central bankers took over our money. That's also the same year they started taxing us, and that was the year that Rockefeller funded the education system to teach his curriculum to sell oil-based medicine. And little known fact to most people, he also started the American Cancer Society. So I've studied the chemicals, all the carcinogenic materials they put in our home, everywhere around us. I've studied, DuPont and 3M poisoning our water systems with PFAs to make Teflon and stain resistant carpets and all that stuff. And man, I feel like after I watch my baby, they already made me sit down and shut up and watch them poison my baby like a Saw movie. Like there's no, I can no longer sit down and shut up. I sit down and shut up enough. And
Joel,
so,
well, your relationship with Christ, with God, you and I talked briefly about that a few days back. Horrible what happened to your daughter. Horrible what the industry did to you and your family and your daughter. But talk about your faith. I mean, wouldn't you be a little ticked off at God to put you through all that? Or did something else happen within you?
I've been battling this flesh. I've known about Jesus since I was about 12 or 13 years old. I've had a back and forth battle with this flesh for a long time, but I've never lost my faith with God, even to this day, even though everything I went through. And so my testimony to people is pretty simple. When my baby first got diagnosed with cancer, I asked God, how could you let my sweet little innocent baby get cancer? And
Yeah.
a few months later, I was driving down the road and he hit me like a ton of bricks. And he said, "How do you think I felt whenever I put my son on that tree?"
Oh,
See, Jesus had a choice. I didn't have a choice. Jesus had a choice. He could have snapped his fingers like Thanos and ended us all, but he did it all for us. And so this life, it ain't perfect. It ain't fair. If it was, we'd already be in heaven. So anything, any kind of pain we got to go through, any type of whatever unfairness, we just carry our cross and keep following Jesus. And at the end, I know God has a purpose. So whether that was the thing that's going to catapult me to speak, because I know that I wouldn't be speaking up like this if that never happened. And my whole life, he's built me. He's made me a leader. He's put me in boxes of sales where I didn't have anything but a Bible and a mat. My whole life, I've been a commission only salesman. Like every day, I go out with nothing but faith. So at the end of the day, faith is all I really have, man. And all I really care about, I don't really care about the materialism and money like that anymore, especially since my baby died. All I care about is doing my job and making the impact and being a vessel for God.
Oh, brother, you face the ultimate loss. I mean, I'm a father too, and I've got two little ones, and mine has type 1 diabetes, and that was hard enough for me to see. And we almost lost her one day when she got real sick, and nobody knew she had diabetes, and they kept mistreating her and giving her the wrong medicine. So it wasn't your situation, of course. I certainly wouldn't try to compare it. But I would want to say, God bless you for going through that and keeping your strength, because that kind of situation can either lean you back towards the enemy, right? Or it
Yes,
can
sir.
bring you closer to God and give you a foothold for something bigger than you ever thought your purpose was for.
Right
And I
on.
know God doesn't use your daughter in that way, but you've been inspired and you found the silver lining in that terrible storm, and He elevated you. And so now you're here today, you're talking with us, and you've done a deeper dive into the pharmaceutical industry. It's inspired you to advocate for what's right, to look for the healthy way of doing things, and whether that's mentally or physically. And you're out there trying to inspire other people to do that too. With 1913 Inc., what are the core messages that you're trying to get across, that this path that you've been on, and it's been a bumpy road, but like we talked in the pre-show, we don't get refined to gold without going through fire. And you've been through the fire, brother. So what are you doing with that new purification that you got?
So 1913 Inc., it's basically saying we know the truth and that we're here to defend it. Whenever I first started this journey, I was kind of thinking, man, I have so much information to give people. There's so many things, but man, the hive mind kind of came together, and there's a lot of information out there, a lot of truth out there. And so I don't really feel like I have to just let everybody know. Now, granted, I do it every day whenever I go to work and I go talk to people. I give them the truth, but it's just for something to say, man, 1930, that guy's on my team. He knows what's up. He ain't about this left, right,
Right.
politics. He's not about the lies. He knows the lies and that we're here to defend it. And so I believe that the war is psychological. We people could talk about all the stuff they want to do, but they drop leaflets out of planes during wars for a reason. So they've been fighting a psychological war with us for a long time. And so my job, I feel like my job is it's really only freedom if you have all the information.
Right.
If you're trying to judge a case and you only hear one side of the story, well, that's not freedom.
Right.
So
If I
for me to be able to provide the truth for people and say, here's all the truth. Now make your choice of what you want to believe.
So, and that's great stuff, man. Kevin and I are doing the same thing. We're on the same road together as you are. We want to bring this country together and get rid of all this partition and division. So, if one of the things you told me the other day too is you've been praying on this, and what is it? What was it you told me the other day about? You were praying on something. What was that prayer to find? Like if we said centrist radicals, we're going to put together a platform for hundreds and hundreds of podcasters who want a voice out there, and we said, here's a mic, here's a platform. What do you want to do with that? Tell us, Joel.
Man, I've been praying to God, Lord, just please give me a microphone in the stage. I simply want to inspire people to search for the truth and represent it and understand that the social conditioning that we've been through, it means nothing because they want to make you think that you're crazy because you don't believe the wide gate, so to speak. They want to make you crazy because you don't believe the news. But in reality, like you're a nerd or something, you're a freaking weirdo. But in reality, it's the truth. And once you know the truth and you could see the way that it works and the influence and the materialism and how it's all an evil matrix and it's very, very geniusly built, once you could see the way it works, then you can fight it. But if you don't know it's out there, then you'll never know. And we all started indoctrinated with lies,
Right
and
on.
we had to wake up and we all said, man, I don't know if this is real. I don't know what to believe. But once you start waking up and you see it's about the money, whenever you start waking up to the pharmaceutical system and see they've had 100 years to cure cancer, but still have nothing. But yet we're making billions of dollars a year off all these treatments. And so one of the biggest things I wanted to advocate for is parents to be able to, number one, have a choice of what their treatment, if their kid gets sick with cancer, to be able to have a choice because adults have choice.
Parental
Number
medical
two,
choice.
yes, sir. Number two, I want to help end the central banking system in this country that has 90% of the banks in the world in their pocket. I want to end and hold the media accountable for their lies and make it to where I don't know if y'all know this, but back I think it was in the 70s or so, anytime you talked about a certain subject on the media, you had to have an expert on the other side to make an argument. because it was about information. And so we went far away from that. They went against the Smith-Mundt Act. Obama repealed that in 2012. And so controlling the information, controlling the education, we've been indoctrinated with false history and lies, put in a system where our kids are taught to sit in this box, raise your hand, fall in line. So that way, whenever we get older and it comes to things like COVID, so we just sit down and shut up and do what they tell us to do. So I like to change the education system. I like to change the infrastructure of the food system, the way that it all works, spraying all this crap on our food. We don't need that. We need to be able to go get with these farmers. Beef is the last industry that they haven't taken over. They already took over the agriculture as far as the plants with the seeds and the chemicals. They took over the chicken and pork. Beef is the last thing they have left. And they're working on that right now. That's why beef's at a
Right
shortage
on.
and it's at an all-time high. So I'd like to change the food infrastructure as well, and just
When
give people educated choices.
when you talk to people about the things that you want to change, the things that you see that are wrong, the things you've been inspired to get after, what is your feedback from those people? Do you get a lot of pushback from it? Do you get eyes opening? Do you get questions like, it's conspiracy, it's real, it's not real? I mean, what do you get from that? And the second part of that question is, what do you tell them to do about it to get involved? So first part first, I guess.
Man, I'd say it's probably about 50-50. Whenever I start talking about it, people are like, yep, yep, I know, yep, I heard about that. I heard about the central bankers. I heard about Rockefeller, blah, 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 blah. And then the other 50%, it's usually people, I'd probably say older, or maybe people that might be in the military or police, something of that nature. And this is exactly what they'll tell me. Man, you sure do know your history. Boy, you sure do know a lot. And I'm like, sir, you still gonna take them 17 pills out of them bottles on your table?
Right
Well, I
on.
gotta trust the doctor. And it's like, because I'm not a doctor, like, yeah, I'm not a doctor, but I can tell you the entire history of the pharmaceutical system, who invented what, when, how much money they're making, how much money they're making off ADHD drugs, how they're using our tax dollars to funnel money back to them. I can go on and on about that. I could tell you about the holistic gut health and how to get in shape, and how to use these different herbs in order to heal yourself. But none of that really matters because I'm not a doctor. So at the end of the day, it's probably about 50-50. But it's like, because I'm not a pharmacologist and I'm not
Right.
an expert on prescribing oil-based medicine, then I don't get much say so with some people.
I have a strategy for that. Yeah, you can't practice medicine and I can't practice law because you're not a doctor, I'm not an attorney. But one of the things I do consulting with people about their legal rights, I tell them up front, look, I'm not a attorney. I can't give you legal advice, but here's some questions you can ask your attorney. You could do the same thing by reviving your show and your training again. And before we end the show, please, you got to tell us, because on our Everyday Heroes thing we're doing, Kevin and I, we want to find strong warriors, Christian strong warriors such as yourself. Heck, I'd like to see Muslim warriors and Hindu warriors and whoever warriors, so long as they're peaceful in their religion and they care about mankind and peace and all that, right? Isn't that what we're all about as
Well,
human
absolutely.
beings?
This is, and it's exactly why we have you on today, Joel. Is because you are a hometown hero. You're an everyday hero. You're
Right.
somebody that is out there that has real life experience. And Rob, we talk about this in the show too, about the fact you can only get common sense from common men. And
Yep.
being a common man is an exemplary thing these days because it's so rare. So you are walking the rare path right now, and you've been through the difficulty, and that has been your education in that school of hard knocks. And I don't mean to put it lightly because it ain't. But
And Joel, on top of what Kevin just said, you've had 200,000 people following you and you lost that. So part of what Kevin and I want to do with the Everyday Heroes segment, we want folks like you to teach others how to build huge databases and have a strong voice out there. And don't be afraid to speak. Speak up. We're not about violence, man. We're not about break out the AR-15s. We're about let's break out the microphones and the keyboards. So, could you tell us a little bit more, Joel, about your experience of building 250,000 base, a little history on that to give pointers and tips to the listeners who want to do what you're doing, who want to come out and have a podcast, who want to tell people something that's important for our freedoms and our liberties? Could you share more information on that with us, Joel? On the ups and downs of your the people you won and lost and why you lost them in terms of the system.
Well, I had On TikTok, they're not very liberal anymore like they used to be as far as the information. So I gained a lot of followers while Gracie was still alive, posting about her story. I have my original thing when I was making motivational content was called Underground Motivation. I have a YouTube channel for that. But I had kind of switched it over whenever Gracie got sick. And long story short, I just posted content and posted real stuff and little 5-second videos that because people have a very it's just the way it is. Attention spans are like less than 7 seconds. If you're getting more than 3 seconds out of somebody, you're doing good. So just being in the sales game, knowing how to speak in a way where people will be more engaged, so to speak, using the facial expressions, it's all sales. There's a lot of little things. My best friend was a digital marketing guru and really good at SEO and all that stuff. So there's a lot of little things that can be done as far as hashtags, descriptions, what time you post, how often you post, who all likes your stuff, commenting on other things, responding to comments, all that little stuff matters. But the first one I had, it got banned because I was talking about the medical system. Then I had another one with over 20 or 25. It got banned for the same thing. And then my last one, I was pushing on 5, and I had videos, with 500,000 views, stuff like that. And they banned that one all because all I ever talk about is I'll literally be telling a story about Gracie, or I will expose something about the pharmacy, just some history fact, not even saying, hey, this stuff they say works don't work. Like I don't even say it like that. It will be just the smallest nuances, and they'll ban it. And that's what they're trying to do with a lot of information. So, there's a lot of different ways. Discord, there's a lot of different groups, different ways to communicate with people and gain a following. At the end of the day, for me, what I started realizing when making my motivational videos, helping other people get sober, is like I only want the people that want to hear what I have to say. I don't care if I have 1 million followers. I'd rather have 1,000 followers that my content really means something to them, that really speaks to them, that really helps them. I'd rather have that than 1 million followers. So for me, the best thing that I feel like I could ever do, especially in this world we're living in, is just be authentic. Like,
Right.
pardon my French, but at the end of the day, I just don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care if you don't like me. I know what I know. I know who I am. I know what I've been through. And whenever you could do that and then take all the criticism you're going to get, because I don't care who you are, somebody, whether it's an AI bot or whoever it is, somebody's going to comment on your video talking crap. It's
Right.
just the way it is. Somebody's going to hate on you. They hated on Jesus. He was perfect. They're going to hate on you too.
Oh yeah.
So just
Well,
know that they're gonna hate on you, and you have to be able to respond with that. Whether sometimes I might be a jerk back, sometimes I'm just like whatever, like haha. So they say something funny. I'm a human being too. But
well,
just not
you're a
letting them
communicator,
know
brother.
that.
Bottom line is you're a communicator. I mean, you're good at listening to people and you're good at communicating, and
Man,
you've been put through a whole lot of stuff that's given you this wisdom and this passion, this drive, and like we've talked about before, that there's only two ways people change. Through trauma or inspiration. And through your trauma, you're inspiring other people so they don't have to come to the same conclusions and have to by going through trauma like you did. So hopefully what you're doing may actually save a life or two along the way, because you're creating opportunities for someone to speak up with their own choice. You're creating awareness for the situation. And folks, I'm going to talk to you guys out there in the audience right quick. When you're listening to him about what's going on, what went on with Gracie, it was a severe situation, but some of y'all had the same severe situation during COVID when you lost people after getting the injections. I mean, that was a similar situation. You didn't have a choice. Your livelihood would be shut down. You couldn't work anymore. You couldn't go places. You're actively told, people are being told to shun you. You're an anti-vaxxer. You're a part of the dirty unvaccinated, right? And if you posted anything about it, guess what? Your page got shut down. Just like what Joel just discussed right now. So we know that this is a problem. We know that there is obvious reasons for it. And Joel, I think you're knocking on the door of exactly what those reasons are right now. And I would encourage you, and I know Rob encourages you, and he'll be there to mentor and help as much as you need, because we feel like this message needs to get out. And today's talk, we want to honor you as an everyday hero. But at the
Amen.
same time, we also want to set the stage to bring you back again to dive deeper into your story with Gracie. Is that if you want to do that, we want to spend some time talking about it so that people can navigate that maze based on what you learned from it. We want to talk about how you've been helping people that are struggling with addiction. That's part of God's work. He went to those same people. you're following the Christ model right now.
How about a
and then-
show? How about, I'm sorry, go ahead, Kev.
And then
Sorry.
just what you want people to do next, because really that's information is wonderful, but without an action behind it, it's all just words.
Hi, guys. How about a show where we all get together in another episode and try to come up with a battle plan for people on how to have their mic, how to have their stand, take a stand, and how to avoid losing their databases, how to make their shows better. Tips on that. Is that something the three of us could do? You two are far better at social media than I am. You two are pros. I'm the tech
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a good
goober of
idea.
the
We can
family
talk
here.
about that, offline behind the scenes. Absolutely. But Joel, we're running a little short on time now. This is a little briefer segment than we normally do to help get you out there, get your message out there, make sure people understand your story, what you've been through a little bit, and then we'd like to have you back. Would you be okay coming back? And I tell you what, you choose the topic you want to cover, because I want to connect it to whatever your action item is for people, because that's what we want to do here. Just like you, it's a one uniparty. They're all just politicians, and it's our job together to lean on each other and make this stuff happen. So you pick the topic. How does that sound?
It's awesome, man. I just real fast, I'm gonna remind you guys, I had to watch my baby go through that, and right now there's other kids getting pumped full of the same crap, other parents going through the same crap, and I have to live with that every day and think about it and think about them being tortured the same way my baby was. So that's what's at the top of my list, and that's what I go to sleep, and that's what drives me, is to stop these kids and these people from being poisoned to death like a horrific movie.
Amen, brother.
Right on.
Let's do something to rescue them. Joel,
Yes,
thank you
sir.
for being with us today. You are a scholar and a gentleman. You're someone out there that's doing hard work. You're not some guy up in an ivory tower. You bust your butt every day. But dealing with the tough issues is where your heart's at. And we want to support you and help you. And you always got a friend here over at Centrist Radicals. And I look forward to talking to you more and hopefully getting you involved with our foundational work too, to help promote your platform through Foundation Unites. And so Foundation Unites would be honored to have you as part of that organization to not only push your message, but to help you grow too.
Joel,
Amen.
my last note to you tonight, and again, and Kevin's right. Thank you so much for being on the show. You did great, man. I hope you'll start up your shows again and get your YouTube channel back on. We'll promote the heck out of you, brother, because you are a patriot, you're a Christian, you're a good man, and I think you know how to do this peacefully. That we don't need to break out the weapons, guys. We need to break out the keyboards and the microphones. So, Joel, please come on back and let's do some serious damage to the bad guys out there. We can expand on that in the next shows. Okay, guys?
Absolutely.
Amen.
Joel, thank you for being here. Any last message you want people to have before we wrap up here for the evening?
Christ is King.
Amen, brother.
Right on.
I can't do any better. Remember to lean on each other. Take care, folks. Have a good day.
Peace.
What do you think? It's quite a story. Joel's been through a lot, and he's doing wonderful things with a lot of bad things that have happened to him. It's probably the best thing any of us can do when something bad happens, is look for that silver lining. And Joel's doing exactly that. So we salute him as an everyday hero. We're proud of the advocacy he's doing. We're proud that he's getting truth out there to people. We're proud that he's actually taking initiative and doing something that many of us just sit back and say, I wish I could do something about it. But that's not what we're about here. Because we're all in agreement, I think, that we all want more freedom in our lives. We want more choice in our lives, and we want more control over our own lives. And Joel's someone that's out there doing that, when he could have very easily said, no, I'm going to check back out because my life's gotten difficult. Instead, he used that as a stepping stone, and through his faith, he was able to do quite a bit. He's able to help people in addiction, help people going through grieving. He's helping people understand their choices, and he wants to prevent what happened to his daughter from happening to anybody else's. So Joel, we salute you, God bless you, and we look forward to telling more of your story as you feel comfortable in the days and weeks and months ahead. Take care, y'all, and remember, lean on each other.
Welcome to Centrist Radicals with Captain Kevin and Rocket Rob. where common sense and common ground are radical ideas.